3 years ago, we ran a Canadian energy regulator analysis of the cost of electric vehicles versus internal combustion engine vehicles. And it turned out then, they were using 2018 data, so that's 4 years old. It turned out then that driving an electric car was 1 cent per kilometer cheaper, and driving an electric truck was 1 cent per kilometer more expensive. Well, how times have changed. But finding that kind of, it's called levelized cost of driving analysis, is really hard. And not a lot of groups that do it, but one that has is Clean Energy Canada. They just released a report. So I'm going to talk to Joanna Kyriazis, their senior policy analyst. So welcome to the interview, Joanna.
Thanks, Markham. Great to be here.
Well, I really think this report is timely because this kind of information has not been available, and it's certainly not widely available. And I've looked for American sources and can't find it. But why don't we start with just an overview of the study from your point of view?
Sure. So Clean Energy Canada's new report that just came out, it's called The True Cost. It tries to provide consumers with a clearer picture about just how affordable electric vehicles really are. You know, most EVs still have a slightly higher sticker price, but they do provide quite a lot of fuel and maintenance cost savings over time. So we wanted to help do the math and show over the course of the typical life of a vehicle, 8 years, you know, which car comes out ahead. Is it an electric version or a comparable gas model? In every single comparison we made, it was the electric version. It came out much cheaper and often significantly so, in the range of $15,000 to $19,000 over the course of 8 years.
Well, let's talk about one example that you use, which is the Hyundai Kona, which is kind of a smaller SUV, and that's what Canadians seem to prefer these days, is trucks and SUVs. Tell us about the numbers on this one.
Yeah, so we took the Hyundai Kona, which provides a pretty easy comparison because there's also a gas version of the same car. The Hyundai Kona electric was the second best-selling EV in Canada last year, next to the Tesla Model 3. And when we ran the numbers, we found that the electric Kona was about $15,000 cheaper over time than the gas version, despite having a slightly higher sticker price.
Right. And you used $1.35 a liter as your gasoline price, and made the point that if it's $2 a liter, as commonplace these days, that the saving is actually much higher.
Yeah, so we actually considered, do we want to use today's gas prices just as a point in time? And we thought, no, you know, we don't, that wouldn't be fair. You know, right now we're looking at pretty extraordinary gas prices. There does not seem to be an end in sight to these high gas prices, but we didn't want to be cherry picking a scenario where EVs were more likely to come out ahead. So we just looked at what was the average price across Canada over the course of 2021. Of gas, and that was $1.35. So that's what we ran all of our comparisons based on. But then we did sort of a sensitivity analysis showing how much more would you save in a $2 per liter of gas scenario. And again, with that same comparison, the Kona electric version versus the Kona gas version, the electric version was $24,000 cheaper over time than the gas version, which is, you know, almost enough money to buy a whole new car.
Right. And you also had the opportunity to do a pickup. The Ford F-150 Lightning is going to be hitting the marketplace. I think it's later this year in the US and next year in Canada. Tell us about that.
So for that comparison, the electric version of the Ford F-150 still came out ahead, but it was not as striking of a difference as the other vehicle comparisons. And I think that's because at least in Canada, the Ford F-150 is going to be priced pretty high. And notably in the US, the electric version of the Ford F-150 is costed below or priced below the gas version. We're not seeing that same situation in Canada. And then we also don't know yet if the Ford F-150 Lightning is going to be eligible for any rebates across the country. So at this point, we assumed it would not. And of course, if we do see some changes to the federal rebate program design, allowing for electric SUVs and pickup trucks to be eligible, then the Ford F-150 would Lightning would come out even further ahead over those 8 years.
Now, I remember from the Canadian Energy Regulator study, there was an important consideration that made EVs look even better. And that's when you drive them more miles. So if you go more than the 20,000 kilometers that you assumed in your model per year, and you made it 40,000, or in the case maybe of a taxi, let's say, or a delivery vehicle, and you made it 100,000, then the numbers really favor the electric vehicle.
Exactly. You're right. The more with an electric car, the more you drive, the more you save almost compared to a gas car. And that's one reason why EVs are such a great option for fleets, right? Those vehicles that are driving longer distances, more kilometers per day, whether it's a ride hailing service or just a business, a delivery service. And so far, I just feel like fleets have been an untapped opportunity in Canada, and we should be engaging with them more about the benefits of going electric.
Now, I should make a point here that we think of electric vehicles as being really expensive. Well, the average cost of a new car in Canada is $45,000. That's no longer, that's a fairly expensive vehicle. So when you think of like the Hyundai Ioniq 5, which is a very popular now electric vehicle, what's its base price? $45,000. So I think the spread between the price parity, price between the EVs and the gas power cars is shrinking. And from what I understand, probably by 2025, they'll cost the same on the lot.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's that new cars are expensive. It's not that electric vehicles are expensive, because like you said, a number of EV models come in under that $45,000 range. If not just because that's what it'll take for them to be eligible for the federal rebate, right? There's that minimum suggested retail price cap of 45,000. So a lot of cars are coming in priced under that. But yeah, I think there's a number of different predictions about when electric vehicles will reach upfront cost price parity. I tend to focus on Bloomberg New Energy Finance, since they're constantly updating their numbers, and they don't really have skin in the game to say one way or the other that price parity is not going to happen for another decade. And their last analysis that looked at the US showed that electric sedans, SUVs, and pickup trucks would all be competitively priced with gas cars without subsidies by 2023, 2024.
Wow. Well, I want to wrap up our interview, Joanna, by considering something that I'm pretty sure wasn't in your report, but I think is really important to the the change in consumer attitude towards EVs. It's just done a sea change in the last 3-4 years, and that's value, not cost, but value. So when I look at an electric vehicle, it can charge my house if I have to, if my power goes out. It has tremendous acceleration. It has kind of a sporty feel to it. It has a frunk, so it has it makes better use of space inside the vehicle. So I feel like I have, for the same car, I've got more space than I did. I mean, on and on and on. There's all, there's the tech kind of sexiness to it. There's all kinds of cool gadgets. A lot of people like that, me being one of them. And so my point here is the economics now favor electric vehicles. The value favors electric vehicles. And I think that has a lot to do with why consumers have turned on a dime and really are clamoring for EVs.
It's so true, Markham, and I think you and I have talked about this before, but comparing electric vehicles to smartphones, we don't talk about how much more a smartphone costs than a flip phone, right? And even if we did, like we're getting so much more out of our smartphones, right? They've got our exercise apps, they've got our photos, our videos. I can join this Zoom meeting through it, and so I'm willing to pay $1,000 for a smartphone when I was willing to pay, I don't know, $50 for my flip phone. And I think that's true. That's what electric vehicles are going to be. They're going to be so much more than a vehicle. And they do have all of these great features. As you were listing things off, I was thinking, yeah, a lot of people are worried about EVs performing in the cold. Which is becoming less of an issue as battery thermal management systems improve. But guess what? You also can use your phone app to start your vehicle from inside and let it warm up before you have to get in a way that a lot of gas cars don't allow that, or in a way that a lot of gas cars don't allow. A lot of your maintenance is going to be happening through the cloud. You don't have to go into the shop. It's going to be a software fix instead of a hardware fix. So I do think that there's a lot of benefits that people don't even realize when it comes to EVs.
Agreed. And I look forward to future versions of this report, Joanna, because I think I'm sure that each one will show a greater and greater advantage for electric vehicles. Well, thank you very much for this. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.